Welcome along to join me again for one of my weekend previews on La Liga, all things Spanish football, on my YouTube channel and the Lista de la Liga. Thanks for joining me, Terry Gibson, in case you haven't been here before. And what I do is I look at all the games coming up over this weekend, starting on Friday night. We'll go all the way through to Monday evening. It's a Real Madrid game, Real Madrid against Getafe. So, my one or two complaints about people about the big teams not being involved in Friday night matches or Monday night matches. But this week it's Real Madrid against Getafe. So we'll come to that later as we go in chronological order through the weekend's action, starting on Friday evening with a relegation battle, a 6-pointer. We've got a title race, a point between Barcelona and Real Madrid. The top four look pretty comfortable at the moment, although Betis are challenging them. And one or two teams that were involved in the relegation issues are just slowly but surely easing their way away from the danger zone. So there's still a few teams involved in that relegation battle though. And we start with two of those on Friday evening. Levante against Alaves. Levante are 7 points adrift from safety, and we now have 13 games to go. So time is running out for Oviedo and Levante, who look the obvious two candidates at the moment to be relegated. And Levante, it's been a tough season. They got heavily defeated last week at Barcelona, 3-0 away from home. But that's not their battle. But they do have the next 5 or 6 matches against teams that are involved in a similar position to them. And this starts with a game against Alaves. Alaves would have been slightly disappointed last week, I think, getting the draw at home to Girona, another one of those 6-pointers. But Alaves do have a player or two that can score a goal, likewise Levante. So I think Levante will write that game off against Barcelona. One that they're not expected to win, but now it's really important that the coach starts nailing down a strongest 11. He's made too many changes in the last 2 or 3 games, and there was hope last week. They had chances, as most teams do, against Barcelona, but it was a comfortable victory for Barcelona in the end. So this one's a really tough one to call. I think Levante know the battle that they've been in all season. They know that these runner games were coming up, runner fixtures against teams that they think they can get points from. I'm actually going to go for a Levante win in this one to make things really interesting at the bottom. Alaves are one of those who are on the fringes of relegation. I mean, I talk about fringes. They're 3 points clear in 14th position. They're 3 points clear of the relegation zone. But I'm going to go for a home win in this one. Levante just about to nick it. It's a good match-up and a good game to start the weekend's action off. Saturday we go to Rayo Vallecano against Athletic Club. The big news from this one is it is being played at Vallecas, so Rayo are back in their home stadium. But the focus is going to be on the pitch. What's it going to be like? Is it going to be up to standard? We'll wait and see. But certainly Rayo have been up to standard recently. The win against Atletico Madrid, big win. The one that was played at the home of Leganés. And then they backed that up with a really impressive draw away from home against Betis last week. And Betis are playing well. So Rayo looks showing signs. Athletic Club are one of those that have just drifted away from the relegation zone. They were never really in it, but their run of form, lack of goals, but they were getting drawn towards it, and they weren't by any means safe. But a couple of decent results lately. The win last week against Elche has lifted them to 8th position, 34 points. I don't include them in the relegation battle now. But Rayo certainly are. They're just 2 points above the relegation zone. They're in 15th position. What we've seen lately from Rayo is far better. They look like their usual self. I think this is a close game, but I'm going to go for a home victory. I'm going to go for Rayo to beat Athletic Club at home. Then we go on Saturday, a game that I'm fortunate enough to be commentating on, Barcelona against Villarreal. So it's top against third. So it's the big game of the weekend in La Liga at the top end of the table. Barcelona, bad news this week for them. Dreadful news, actually, in my opinion. Frenkie de Jong. I think he has his critics amongst the Barcelona fans, but I think he's a really good player. He's been important this season. He's been influential. I think him and Pedri in midfield is a wonderful partnership. Pedri's been missing for a month. Now Frenkie de Jong is missing, so that's a massive blow. The only thing I would say, Marc Bernal, another teenager, 18-year-old, a couple of goals recently, which Frenkie de Jong hasn't got this season. Plays in a similar position. He's labelled the new Sergio Busquets. I get the similarity. But he's in really good form. And it'd be interesting to see whether it's him, whether it's Marc Casado who plays in there, or where Eric Garcia might go into a holding midfield role. But he's been preferred lately as a centre-back. So I think Marc Bernal is the obvious replacement. As I say, he's been in really good form. I think he's a really talented, super talented young player. And they face a Villarreal team in third with 51 points. Been an outstanding season domestically for Villarreal in La Liga. They have had issues this season with the games that they've lost. They've lost both to Real Madrid. They've lost to Atletico Madrid. They've lost to Barcelona at home. Out of 6 defeats they've had, 4 have been against the teams that are in and around them, above them, or in Atleti's case now below Villarreal. They've also lost to Getafe and Betis. So these are the games Villarreal need to make a statement. This will be a tough game for Barcelona. I have no doubt about that. But I'm going to go for a home victory just on the fact that Barcelona, I think it's 11 wins out of 11 or 12 out of 12. They're super at home. And Villarreal have just come up short when they've played the teams above them or just around them. So I'm going to go for the home victory for Barcelona, for the league leaders. But it's as I say, it's nip and tuck at the top. And then we go to Mallorca against Real Sociedad. Real Sociedad just dropping off the pace a little bit. Drew last week with Oviedo. Pellegrino Matarazzo, he's an unbelievable period at Real Sociedad. They lost at Real Madrid. They dropped points last week against Oviedo. They were in the race for outsiders for European spot. That might have just tailed away now. But they face a Mallorca team who are in desperate trouble. 18th in the bottom 3. 24 points, and this week they sacked their manager Ahoba Arrasate. To be fair to him, it's been coming, and they've been really patient. It's not one of those sackings where the club it's a knee-jerk reaction. A change did need to be made. And interesting, they brought in Martin De Michelis, the former Man City Malaga player. He's stepped in. He's been managing in Mexico, so he stepped in. So that's an exciting appointment for Mallorca, and an interesting one for those that watch La Liga on a regular basis. So that'd be interesting to see if they can have a new manager bounce. He's only been in charge less than 24 hours. They have the players to pull away from trouble. We've been waiting for it to happen all season, and they just haven't done it. And unfortunately, last week with a 2-0 defeat away from home against Celta, the ambitious owners of the club decided that they've been patient enough. So I understand that change. Then we have bottom club Oviedo against Atletico Madrid. And thankfully, I'm commentating on this one as well. So this is an interesting one for me because Atleti did well in Europe, beat Brugge 4-1. Sorloth has got 5 goals in his last 2 games. They're scoring goals at home for fun. Their away form has cost them in different competitions this season. And they've got Barcelona in midweek as well in the second leg of the Copa del Rey semi-final. They're 4-0 up. But there will be changes in this game. And Atleti are not great away from home, so I think they'll be cautious going into that Barcelona game. Despite the 4-0 lead, Barcelona can score at least 3 goals against anybody at home. So this tie, they're in the wonderful position, but it's not done yet. Players will be rested for this game. And Oviedo are showing signs of spirit, technical ability. They're now scoring goals. They got 3 last week against Real Sociedad away from home. Time is running out. The manager has said, Guillermo Almada has said that it's looking tough, but it's not impossible. But they need this win. They can get it, against Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid's away form is poor. They've got they had the game against Brugge. They've got the game against Barcelona. The team will be rotated. You don't know what you're going to get from any team that Atleti put out at the moment, whether it's good or bad or indifferent. I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I'm going to go for Oviedo to get something. They're plucky underdogs. They've been playing like that lately. I think they can get something from this match. So I'm commentating on it for the English World Feed. You can laugh at me if I get it wrong, which I do get most things wrong when it comes to Atletico Madrid. Sunday we go into Elche against Espanyol. Interesting game. Obviously really important for Elche because they're 1 point above relegation. But both teams had fantastic first halves of the season. Elche were flying, newly promoted, didn't consider them. We were saying how well they've done. They're not in the relegation battle and they're not going to be involved in that dogfight at the bottom of the league. Since the start of the new year, they haven't won a game. And they now are firmly in the relegation issue. Espanyol likewise, fantastic first half of the season. 35 points, seems like ages ago they were on the 32, 33 points. They're now 7th and they haven't had a win this year. So is this deadlock going to be broken or is it going to be another draw and then neither team get what they want? I would make Elche favourites, just about. I think Elche, they play, both teams play good football, but I think Elche are playing better than Espanyol at the moment. So I think it was a tough result, Elche, last week. They a controversial penalty, ridiculous penalty in the last minute, which meant they lost the game at Athletic Club. Espanyol were comprehensively beaten by Atletico 4-2. So I think Elche are playing better than Espanyol at the moment. So I'm going to go for the home win. I'm going to go for Elia Sarabia's team to break their bad run of form, and one of these teams to get 3 points. And in my opinion, it's going to be Elche. So that starts us off on Sunday. That's a really good game to look forward to. Then we've got Valencia against Osasuna, a team with a good home record against a team with a bad away record. Osasuna did beat Real Madrid last week though, and their away form is improving. Valencia 2 points above relegation. It's 13 games to go. They're in trouble, and they're just above the relegation position at the moment. But this is a tough game to call. I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I haven't gone to draws yet. I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I think Osasuna are capable of picking up a point at the Mestalla. Then we go to a big game Sunday afternoon. Betis against Sevilla, one of my favourite games of the season. And there's been a turnaround in this. In the last few years, Betis have gone to the top of the pile when it comes to the city of Seville. They've won the last two. They were 12 without a win in La Liga against Sevilla. So Sevilla were ruling the roost. That's turned around now. And I don't see any reason why that will change again this week. I think Betis are, apart from the draw last week against Rayo, they're in good form. They're the better team. Sevilla are a physical outfit. They're fighting, they're really scrapping for their survival. They're just putting they're 5 clear in their relegation. That was a good win last week against 10 men Getafe for most of the game, to be honest. But Sevilla with Malpe and Akor Adams up front look a bit more threatening in attack. I think it's going to be a close game. Sevilla will be boosted by the fact Ruben Vargas is back. He's arguably the best player and he's been missing for a while. So that's a boost for them. Will he start? Will he be on the bench? Almeida is still suspended, second of his 7-game suspension. I'm going to go for the Betis victory in this one. It's going to be I love watching this game. This will be a tight match. And if you're new to La Liga and you want a traditional example of a Spanish top flight game of football, this is one I always recommend. Obviously the Clásico and the Madrid derbies, but this one, the Basque derby, this one, the Sevilla derby is one of my favourites. Then I'm going to go for the Betis win there. Girona against Celta. Girona they're 30 points. They're on the fringes, but I don't see them getting relegated. Got a decent draw at Alaves Monday night. I think they're on the verge of pulling themselves away from trouble. And when I say trouble, having a comfortable last 12 games of the season. And I think they get the win against Celta at home. Celta progressed in Europe again in midweek. Celta, this would be a really good game to watch. Two good teams that play good, attacking, entertaining football. There'll be goals in this game, but I'm going to go for a home victory for Girona, which then eases all the relegation issues. And it's been a struggle this season for Girona. But they are 7 points adrift to Celta, but I'm going to go for the home win. And then on Monday we go to Real Madrid against Getafe on a Monday night. So Monday night football in La Liga. It's Real Madrid start the weekend off a point behind Barcelona. Good win in midweek. They are missing their injured players. The same faults are there that with Arbeloa that we saw with Xabi Alonso in terms of everything goes down the left. There's a lack of balance on the right. I would be concerned with the positional player, the fullbacks. They have injured players missing. Can they win La Liga? Yes. Can they win the Champions League? Difficult fixture against Man City, but yes, they can. But they need big players back. So there was no Kylian Mbappe, no Rodrigo, no Jude Bellingham, there's no Militao. That has to be taken in consideration when we can't be too critical of the performances we're seeing at the moment from Real Madrid. I expect them to win this game. But I think it's going to be a struggle. It'll be interesting in Monday night football for the Real Madrid players. It's not normal. They have the weekend off. Are they going to have the appetite? They should. I hope they should. Depending on how Barcelona got on over the weekend. If Barcelona get the win and they're 4 points adrift, the motivation might be a little bit less. It shouldn't be, but it might be. And Getafe come into the game to make life as difficult as possible. They'll waste time from the first minute onwards. They'll be very, very aggressive, despite the fact they've Jenner be suspended because he got sent off last week. 2 new strikers have been a plus and a bonus and have ease them away from serious relegation issues. They're not clear yet, but they're one of those teams that are just pulling away nicely. I think this will be something like a 1-0 win for Real Madrid, or 2-1. I think the Getafe will cause them problems. It's not going to be a pleasant game for the Real Madrid players unless they get an early goal and run away with it, but I don't see that happening. So I'm going to go for a narrow Real Madrid victory on Monday evening. As I say, that's the roundup for the weekend. Say 13 games to go. Still got loads of issues at the bottom of the table. Teams fighting each other for the European spots. Maybe not the top four. We've got a title race at the top. We've got another Clasico coming up, not too far ahead. So there's so much to look forward to in Spain in La Liga this season. And look forward to enjoying the weekend. And catch you next week.